Hi, so today in this video I'm going to be covering chapter 4.3, which is the algebraic analysis on the vertex. Let's just get into it. There are there are three major ways to find your vertex form. Your standard, the book calls it standard form, I call it vertex form. We're going to compromise and call it standard vertex form. And the first way is the way that I prefer, which is completing the square. And the second way, is using the equation negative b over 2a to find h. And the third way is to pick 2 points and find the vertex from that, or at least find your h. Now, I prefer completing the square for a few reasons. It feels like less steps to me, and it's also going to be very useful when we get to solving trinomials that are not easily, that are prime. So I prefer this one. This one involves like 3 separate steps, and this one, I don't even know. I don't like this one very much at all, but it'll make us use it. So completing the square, we want to get our equation to look like f of x is equal to a times x minus h squared minus k. So we wanted to get into this form. I lost my train of thought a little bit. So the way that we can complete this square is, so with the regular standard form, which I don't even know what they call, which is ax squared plus bx plus c, what they do is they say, okay, let's scoot this c over for a minute. So we're only looking at the ax squared plus bx part. We'll leave a big gap. And we're going to divide this bx term by 2. And then we're going to take whatever we got there, and we're going to square it. And whatever we get there, we're going to add. So we'll call this d. And whatever, we cannot change the value of an equation, so we also have to minus d. And then what we can do is we can take this and we can say, okay, x, and then plus whatever this result was, not squared, but the b minus, divide by 2. And then we can square that. And sometimes it will be negative bx. In that case, it will be minus b over 2 squared. And then whatever happens with this, these will combine and you'll get whatever you need. There are a little more tricky factors when it comes to finding the greatest common factor, but that's about what you need to know. And then this method, what you can do is you can fill in the parts to this equation. So negative b divide by 2 times a, and that will be h. And then to find your y point, you have to plug that back into your equation. And then it's just like a lot of, I don't know, there's more steps, I feel. And then picking 2 points is even worse, I think. You're gonna need to pick a y that you want, and you'll set the equation equal to y and find whatever that is, and you'll typically get 2 solutions for that. And what will happen is you'll be able to find what the x coordinate of our vertex is. And whenever you find that, you can just do what you would do with this and plug everything back into your equation. This seems like the most inefficient way. I don't like it very much. They still make you use it though. So we're gonna have to play their games. So we have convert the function x squared plus 6x plus 5 into standard form, and they want us to express the answer in the form f of x equals x minus h squared plus k. So I'm going to complete it with the negative b over 2a thing first, just to show how it works. And I'll go very slowly, and then I'm not going to do it again because I don't like doing it. So x squared plus 6x plus 5. We can identify this 1 as our a, this 6 as our b, and this 5 as our c. And then what we can do is we can say, okay, negative b, which is 6, divided by 2 times 1, because 1 is our a, and that's going to give you negative 3. So now we know that our h is going to be equal to negative 3. We can have we'll write like a vertex. We'll keep that up here. Is equal to -3. And now we need to find our y. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug in the -3 into our original equation, which is going to be -3 squared plus 6 times -3 plus 5. And that's going to get me 9 plus, well, minus 18 plus 5. This is going to be -9. -9 plus 5 is going to equal -4. So our vertex is going to be -3, 4. Now, what you're going to have to do now is you're going to have to do f of x is equal to, and then our stretch factor, our a, is going to be whatever is attached to this x squared. So there's nothing attached to the x squared in this case, so it will just be nothing. So x, and then we're going to do plus 3 since we're flipping the signs, squared, and then plus 4 because that's a positive 4. And that is our way to find it using that formula. I'm going to go on to the next problem, which is very similar, even down to the numbers. But this next time, I'm going to be using the completing the square method. So in this one, we have x squared plus 6x, and I'm going to write the 4 over here. I'm going to put parentheses around this. What I can do now is I can say, okay, what is 6 divided by 2? That's positive 3. What's positive 3 squared? It's positive 9. So I'm going to do plus 9, and I'm also going to add a minus 9. And since we're not multiplying by anything over here, I actually don't need these parentheses. I just like to group them kind of together. But we're going to be looking at this section and this section. These can be combined into like terms. I mean, because they're like terms. So we're going to turn this into -5. So we already have our k. So we have something, comma, -5. And now what we can do is we can say, okay, what is 6x divided by 2? And that's going to be positive 3. And so we're going to take our positive 3 and we're going to plop it down right into here, plus 3, and we're going to square it. This is just us factoring. And now what we can do is minus 5, and you have f of x is equal to this. Now, this is going to be our answer for the first one. Express your answer in this form. Now, the vertex is really easy to find from that. Our vertex is just hk, right? So this, our x is going to be flipped. So we're going to have -3 and then -5, and that would be your vertex. I prefer that method. I'm not sure if it's because that's the way I was learned it, or if it's because of like a whole bunch of other factors. I don't know. It's hard to say, but I do like it. Now this one we'll solve by finding 2 points. Now this is my least preferred method, and I don't recommend you do this, but just in case you want to see how it's done, I will do it. So what we're going to do is I'm going to pick positive 1 to be our x. No, sorry, to be our y. So let me think. This one's harder because you still can have like decimals and stuff. Actually, I'll just do that method when it's asking us to find a point, when it gives us a point, so I don't end up with any decimals. So I'll do that in the next one. I'll do another completing the square for this example. So we have, we'll divide -14 by 2. That gives us -7, so we have x minus 7. We know that's going to be in the parentheses, and that's going to be squared. And then 7 squared is going to be 49. So plus 49, and then minus 49 because we cannot change the value of our function. And that leaves us with the 40, this part, the x squared and the 14x and the 49, positive 49, gets eaten into this. And now we are going to take our -49 and we're going to minus 3. So we get -52. And that is our equation. X minus 7 squared minus 52. Because there's nothing in front of the x squared. There's no a factor in this. And our vertex is going to be positive 7 and -52. Now, sometimes when you see answers like that, I am hesitant to accept it because it looks kind of wonky, huh? But in this case, it will be wonky. It's just they're trying to trick you. Now this one, they're telling us to determine the vertex of the parabola representing the function f of x equals negative 2x squared minus 8x minus 12 using two symmetric points. And we want to find those x values of the points by setting f of x equal to negative 12. So we know that negative 12 is our y in this case, is equal to negative 2x squared minus 8x minus 12. Now we just basically want to set this equal to 0. So I'm going to add 12 to both sides. Or you could add 12 from this side. And that basically gets you 0 is equal to negative 2x squared minus 8. And we can factor a 2x out of this. So negative 2x times x minus 4. Now, if we set this equal to 0, we know that a 0 times a 0 equals 0. So if this statement is 0, then the statement is true, regardless of whatever's in here. And if this statement is 0, then this whole statement equals 0, regardless of what this would turn into. So negative 2 times what equals 0? Well, that's easy, 0. So we know that one of our x is going to be 0. And we also know one of them is going to be positive 4. So now we have our 2 points, which is going to be 0, negative 12, and positive 4, negative 12, because the y values are going to be the same. And now what we can do is we can say, okay, where's the middle point between these two? And we're only thinking about the middle in the x. So if you have a point at 0 and a point at 4, so 1, 2, 3, 4, we want to find the middle point between these two. So technically, what we want to do is add these x's together, which is going to give you positive 4, and then divide them by 2. We're just finding the average of the two x's, and that will give us our new x, but we don't know the y. That y could be anything. It doesn't have to be the average of it or not. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our x, which is going to be positive 2, and we're going to plug it back into our original equation. See why this is like my least favorite method? It's just very long and contrived and kind of like boring, and it's just tricky when you could do it the other ways. So what you would do is you'd take this, you'd say negative 2 times 2 squared minus 8 times positive 2 minus 12. This is going to give me 4 times negative 2 is negative 8 times negative 8 times minus negative 8 times 2, which is going to be negative 16, and then minus 12. I'm just double checking this. I feel like I'm getting lost. Yeah. See, I've recorded this video once before, except for my audio was off, but I'm feeling like my answers are getting weird. I don't think it should be like this. I think I misplaced a negative somewhere. Yes, so I took out a negative 2 here. This should have turned the 4 into positive, so this should turn into negative x. The reason why I was thinking that was weird is because I don't think our y would be like that. So it just doesn't feel right to me. That will come naturally to you eventually, but if it's wrong, just recheck your math. So instead we're plugging in... Wait, why was I plugging in 2 in the first place? 1 second, let me reevaluate my choices. Okay, I don't know what I was doing there. We want to plug in... Oh, no, so it would be negative 2 instead. So negative 2, negative 2. So this will still turn into negative 8. But this will turn into plus 16, and this will turn into minus 12. And this is going to give you positive 4 minus 8, which is negative 4. So we know that our x is going to be negative 2, and our h is going to be negative 2, and our k is going to be negative 4. And I believe that's what I got before, yeah. So negative 2, negative 4. And then now we have to put our... the x values of our two symmetric points, which was 0, negative 12, and negative 4, negative 12, and that would be your answer. Sorry, that one, yeah, I kind of don't like those ones at all. I think, yeah, I'll do this one again. So we're going to set this equal to negative 4. So negative 4 is equal to x squared plus 4x minus 4, and we're going to add 4 to both sides, and that sets the equation equal to 0, so we have x squared plus 4. X, we can take out an x from here, so we have 0 is equal to x times x plus 4. We can set if x is equal to 0 or if x is equal to -4, then our answer turns into 0. So our two symmetric points are going to be 0, comma, -4, and -4, comma, -4. And you'll separate that with a comma. Now to find the vertex, we'll add the two x values together, which will give you -2 again. And then we'll divide that by 2, which gives us -1. We just found the average, sorry, no. We're adding it, and that will give us -4. And then we'll divide it by 2, and that gives us -2. And then what we can do is we can take that -2, plug it back into our original equation. So we'll get -2 squared plus 4 times -2 minus 4. That will give us 4 minus 8 minus 4, which is going to give you 4 minus 4, -8. So our vertex is -2, comma, -8. Yeah, kind of long-winded, huh? I'm going to skip this one, or maybe not. Yeah, I'm going to skip this one and go to the one where it's with decimal fractions, because those usually trip people up, especially since our leading coefficient is -2x squared. Now, I do prefer completing the square, but actually in this case, I think it might be nicer if I do the vertex form, because then I don't have to like divide all of this by 2 and then divide this by 2 again and then square it. Instead, I'm going to do the -b1. And I believe this is the one where if you put your answer into lumen, it will be wrong even if you got it right. Just for the record, I don't know if they've fixed it yet, but the answer, so we'll go through it. So we'll do -8/5x divided by 2a, which is -2 times 2. These negatives are going to cross out. Oh, we don't need that x there, by the way. And so we're going to have 8/5 divided by 4, which is the same as multiplying by 1/4. These will cross each other out, and we'll get 2/5. So we'll have 2/5 as our vertex. Yeah. And, no, so for our h. And then we need to plug that back in. So we have -2 times 2/5 squared minus 8/5 times 2/5 minus 23/25. It might not be this one, actually. So 2/5 times 2/5 is 4/25. We're still multiplying that by -2. And then -8/5 times 2/5 is going to be -16/25 minus 23/25. This is going to turn into -8/25. And so you're going to get a crazy wackadoo. I think I missed a positive. One second, let me think about this. Yeah. I think one of these should be positive. I think I went wrong somewhere. Let me think. Because I know the answer is going to be weird, but it's not going to be that weird. Let's just try. No, let me see where I made my mistake. So 2/5 times 2. And it's -2. -8/5. 2/5. How did I get 3/5? Hold on. Somehow I got -2/5, and I think that's probably right. I don't remember how I got. Let me retry. Oh, okay, yes. Yeah. So we don't. So we have negative, except for it should be -8/5 because it's -b, and b is a -8/5. So this instead should be. We still have -2/5. We just need to change this into a negative. So this turns into a positive. My bad. Everything else is the same though. I just had forgotten a sign error. Those are easy to do. So -8 plus 16 is 8. And then 8 minus 23 is 15. So we have 15/25. And it's negative. -15/25 is going to be 3/5. And it's still negative. So we get -2/5, comma, -3/5. If you have any questions, please let me know, and I will answer as soon as possible.